we are talking to Dr. Ramses Alcaide, who is the co-founder and CEO of Neurable. We talk all things happy hustling and how you can optimize your brain performance by taking brain breaks. Now, let's dive into this episode with Dr. Ramses Alcaide on the happy hustle. Want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Cary Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. All right, Dr. Ramses, I am stoked. Welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my man. Let's rock this mic.
Oh yeah, I'm really pumped. I've been looking forward to this for the last month since we set this up, and I am just so excited to get on here and talk about how our brains need to be happy for us to work better, you know?
Amen to that. I mean, you are a neuroscientist, you are an inventor, and you're the CEO and founder of Neurable, which are these awesome headphones that I'm currently rocking right now. And so are you. So if you're just listening, you got to go on YouTube and you got to check out these sweet headphones. And you're also a researcher at the University of Michigan Direct Brain Interface Laboratory. You've worked extensively to develop brain-computer interface technology for people with amputations, severe cerebral palsy, and I don't want to butcher this, amyotrophic? Is that how you say it?
Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, right?
Oh,
ALS,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. And so all that to be said, you're just one smart dude, okay? You're really, on the cutting edge of neuroscience. And I'm really excited about this one because Neurable is very much aligned with the Happy Hustle mission of avoiding burnout and achieving blissful balance. As we say, the definition of happy hustling is the systematic harmonization of ambition and well-being. And anything that can help us do that, I'm a fan of. And that's what these headphones do, is they really help me avoid burnout and increase my productivity and ultimately my performance. So I want to talk all things neuroscience, these Neurable headphones, and how others can utilize this amazing new software development. But before we get into all that good stuff, Dr. Ramses, what is something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
Oof, that's a great question. That's the classic happy hustle question right there.
Yeah.
What I would say is really the thing that is unusual is, believe it or not, I'm like addicted to Warhammer 40,000, like the game, the tabletop game, right?
Never
Like, I
even
love
heard of
strategy games. Oh, and actually, even crazier thing, I paid through part of my college playing Pokemon cards professionally. Isn't that crazy?
it. Really? Okay.
Yeah, so I love strategy games. I've loved them since I was a kid, and they've just been a part of my life. And it's kind of a weird quirk, because I got enough stuff going on. So
Yeah.
spending 3 hours to play a tabletop game is not something I can fit in pretty easily.
Strategy games, I feel like, are such a great brain training tool, though. It just gets you
Oh
to
yeah.
think so creatively. I mean, I know anytime I do something like that, I just feel like I've used new parts of my brain and created that neurogenesis. And we're talking all thing brain and optimization today. And, one thing that really I got to mention to you, I don't know how much you know about this specific part of my backstory, but I actually have a brain injury from carbon monoxide poisoning. I think we talked about it briefly, but, I really struggled because I almost died in 2022 from CO poisoning at the family ranch. It had a leaky heater. My brother, my sister, and we all passed out well, my brother didn't pass out, but my sister and I passed out unconscious. My dog ended up saving my life. And
Holy
for
crap.
a while, I've been struggling to get back to just that place where my verbal recall was on point, my memory, my overall brain capacity and computing power. And so I love to optimize. I used to be in the biohacking game hardcore and wearables and all these devices they definitely have their place in my life, but especially after that brain injury, I'm like, okay, I
Hmm.
need to use stuff that helps me achieve, you know, optimal state, or at least the best that I can at this current, moment in my life. So that's where Neurable comes in. These headphones that help me, ultimately optimize my performance and avoid burnout. So tell us the real reason why you started Neurable. Like what's the soul behind the science?
For sure, for sure. Before I go down that direction, though, I do want to touch on something, which is I don't know if you saw the latest update, but it actually has like holistic cognitive vital systems built into her. So you can actually like see your brain over time, see how it's recovering, right?
Mm,
If you're tired, if you're maybe you drank alcohol today, how did that affect it? We have people with traumatic brain injuries at the company that use it to like test their brain and see like, hey, maybe am I back to normal, or is this brain fog because of this injury that I had, right?
mm,
So that's separate aside, but I highly recommend you check it out. It just came out this month. It's a
okay.
really exciting new addition to the tech.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, the soul of Neurable came when I was about 8 years old. I was at home, and uh, in walks in my uncle, right? But he's in a wheelchair instead of like walking, right? And it was like incredibly traumatic to me. He had just, gotten into a trucking accident earlier that week and he had lost his legs, right? And it was a really impactful time, obviously, for him. It changed his life dramatically. But it's what made me so passionate about how do I build prosthetic devices to help him walk. Ended up going to the University of Washington, getting an electrical engineering degree, then the University of Michigan, where I studied neuroscience. I got my PhD in neuroscience, and that's really where the vision went from prosthetics to like the brain as a whole.
Mm,
We have, I was at this university seeing students dealing with burnout, depression, individuals not knowing that they had Parkinson's until 10 years into the disease, all these things from the brain that we could actually track if we had everyday brain technology, right? And so that's really where the mission came about. How do we make neurotechnology every day?
mm,
And the first step is creating a device like this one with our partner Master and Dynamic, which is a beautiful pair of headphones that have all the things you would expect from a headphone, but can also track your brain health, help you stay focused, help you prevent burnout. Long-term burnout leads to anxiety and depression issues. So what if we create this tool that could prevent these kinds of directions happening by empowering the user?
mm. Yeah. Wow. What a powerful mission. And, the neurotech that is basically baked into an everyday tool we use, like headphones, is really, I think, the beauty of Neurable, because, pretty much everyone owns a pair of headphones. And why not have an extra capability to track your brain and predict sometimes, life threatening diseases that can ultimately decrease our wellness and ultimately our well-being throughout the journey. So how did that process take place? I mean, here you got this grandiose idea, and now you actually have a product. I mean, I know that's a long journey. Give us just a 30,000 foot view of like, how did that all kind of come to fruition?
Yeah, I mean, really, we're not the first ones to make headphones with brain sensors or the first ones to make earbuds with brain sensors. They have been out before, but the problem with brain computer interfaces, especially non-surgical ones or non-invasive ones, is that the signal that you collect from these sensors, I mean, you can see them here on the side, they're just
Mm-hmm.
this soft fabric. It's very difficult to get good signal from them, right?
Mm,
And so what my PhD work was on a technology, a software that essentially increases the signal to noise of brain data. So we're
mm,
able to replicate a lot of the same level of quality as a larger scale brain computer interface, but we can bring it down to a pair of headphones. And actually, you'll see here on the side, it says
mm-hmm.
powered by Neurable AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it is, that AI that makes it work at scale. And it took us 14 years. It was not overnight. If you can imagine spending your life working on one thing, right? And our one thing was, how do we take these large gel cap systems and with software solve a lot of these signal to noise issues until we can bring it down to an everyday system like a pair of headphones. And what's crazy is they are just a normal pair of headphones too. Like if you had not mentioned this to anybody, we would have just been on this podcast the entire time wearing
Yeah,
headphones and nobody would have even noticed, right?
it's true.
But they would have just been like, oh, those are some nice premium headphones. They're like made out of aluminum. They got like lamb leather. They're like really comfy, right? But
Hmm.
right underneath the ear cup is a system that lets you track your focus, prevent burnout, track your brain health. Like it's like an Apple Watch for your brain that is completely transparent and invisible.
Mm. Yeah, that is really one of the things I love about them. They have great sound, their noise cancellation, but they also are tracking your brain, and they let you know in real time when you need a brain break. And one
Hmm.
of the features that I'm really digging is the binaural beats that are
Ah,
baked into the software, where I can just click on that feature, and I'm holding up my phone because it has the app that you guys created. So when I put on a start focus session, and then I put on like the biofeedback, uh, you know,
oh yeah.
are there
And I don't know
binaural
if,
beats, right, that go up and down
yeah.
in volume, right?
Yeah, and you know what's really cool? So what we found out is that when we switch the music, when a person is like in low focus, so what happens, just to explain it to the listeners, is you're working and there's this music that helps you stay into focus, right?
Hmm.
But then if you get out of focus, the volume drops and your brain notices it and it helps you get
Mm-hmm.
back into focus. And so the reason it's so powerful is because of something that a lot of people have issues with, which is imagine you're reading a book, right? You're at the library reading a book. You start reading the first couple sentences and then you get distracted and you realize that you haven't read anything when you hit the bottom of the page, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
But now what this technology can do is you can read that book, and as soon as you get distracted, a few words past, the volume will drop down. You're going to be like, oh wait, I'm out of focus, and you're able to get back into that focus and hit the bottom of the page every single time reading the whole thing.
Mm.
It's a tiny little biofeedback system that leverages your brain but gives you like a lot of value back, so that you're saving time, right? You're being more effective.
And that is really what we're all about here at the Happy Hustle: saving time, spending that time, our most precious commodity, aka with those we love and doing things that we love, right?
For
I
sure.
feel there's this grind culture that is very much an epidemic now, and it's glorified largely. People, they're working on the weekends, they're sacrificing their soul for, their companies or a paycheck, will you? And for me, the happy hustle is all about how do we leverage our time most efficiently and effectively so that we can put the happy in our everyday hustle. Yes, work hard. That's the hustle part, right? But also be
Yeah.
happy doing it. And that's where, headphones like these support that mission, because if I'm just sitting in front of my computer attempting to write copy, but I'm only functioning at a 20% production rate, when I know
Right.
if I just took a brain break, went and got a snack, walked outside, jumped on my trampoline, maybe did a cold plunge, whatever, all the things, and I get back to it, I could write that same email in 10 minutes rather than an hour. And it's just those
Right.
little nuances that high performers they recognize, and they make that pivot. And
For
again,
sure.
software and wearables that support it, I'm all about.
I'll
Let's
give you I'll
break.
give you a
Oh, go ahead,
quick example if you don't mind, like of
please.
something that like completely changed me dramatically, right? So I was in the office working, just my typical work day, and I'm sitting down. It takes me a little bit to ramp up, but then I'm crushing it. And the thing is, your brain has no pain receptors. So when you feel tired, that's your body that's tired. Your brain has been tired for hours beforehand, right? So I
Mm.
think I'm crushing it. And then I get a break notification and I look at my data, and like for the last 5 minutes, I've just been essentially doubling my errors and like just wasting time without
Mm.
knowing it, right?
Mm.
So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go take a break. It told me to take a break. I'll take a break. I take a break, and what I start to do is I start just going through social media, doom scrolling, just kind of, chilling out, doing, zombieing out, right? And then I get
Yeah.
back to work. And like literally 5 minutes later, I get another brain break. I'm like, I just took a break. Like, what's going on? And it turns out that just doom scrolling didn't recover me, right? And I was like,
Mm.
and so I took that next break, and what I did is I went out to the park for a 10-minute walk, same amount of time, but instead of doom scrolling, I went for a walk, right? And then I came back, and my focus was incredible, right? And
Mm.
so it shows you how this technology can also be used as a tool for you to understand what actually helps you. right?
Mm,
Whether it's coffee, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's meditation, it's basically the ability to better understand yourself so that you can actually make conscious decisions that benefit you and help you get the most out of your day so you can get the most out of your life afterwards.
mm. Love that example. And that really is a great caveat, right? Not all breaks are created equal. You really need to think about, like, a power nap goes a long way as opposed to doom scrolling or watching YouTube
Right?
videos, or because you're still having to be engaged or not fully recovering. What are some
For sure.
other pro tips when it comes to brain breaks? Maybe if it's some certain foods, or if it's, I don't know, if you utilize supplements or nootropics. Any pro tips? I mean, our audience is quite advanced. We got badass happy hustlers who are high performing entrepreneurs, and aspiring entrepreneurs at that, but they get this stuff. Let's talk
Hmm.
like brass tacks, tactical things that can help them optimize their brain. Anything come to mind there? Pun intended.
I think that the thing that I've learned through this process, and actually if you go to my Instagram, you can see a ton of experiments that I've done, including like walking on fire and like, having hot sauce and like taking,
Nice.
dip coffee, things like that. So,
Coffee
but I
enemas.
think
You
what
tried
we've
those?
learned,
Those will get you
which ones?
jacked up. Coffee enemas.
Which one? Oh, oof. Yeah, I haven't tried that, but I don't think I
That
would film that for an Instagram though.
my
I'm sure
my
someone has, but
my business partner has, my old business partner in the biohacking game. Just a quick caveat: coffee enemas, where you actually stick coffee up your butt and you hold it, and it detoxes your whole liver and intestines. You'll get such a boost of energy. I'm telling you, I used to do them regularly, not so much anymore. But pro
all
tip
right.
there, if you want to try a new one
If
that'll
if
go
you've
viral.
tried them, if you've tried them, I will consider it. But
Yeah.
so what we learned through this process though is that like it's very different for every person, right?
Mm,
So, for example, I'll give you two quick stories. The first one was, we have this new brain health tracking system. And I used the system and it said that my stress levels were really high, which makes sense. I'm a CEO of a company, like, intensity all the time. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick up meditation. And I tried like all these different apps, the common ones, Headspace, Calm, could not get them to work. I would get into deep meditation, I'd get out of it. And it was just a frustrating experience for me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming, but I have to tell you, the best investment you can make in yourself is one in which helps you acquire skills. You've probably heard people talk about, oh, just invest in yourself and you'll be successful. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you have to invest in skills that will ultimately help you achieve your desired results. And I think one of the best skills one can possess, be it an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, is the sales sword. Really knowing how to sell, utilizing pressure free persuasion, which will make you more money and more impact. Now, if you want to know how to sell more efficiently and effectively, I just launched a sales course called The Proven Roadmap Process to Selling Millions of Dollars and helping you to increase your conversions guaranteed. And you can get access to this new sales course that the Happy Hustle is launching at thehappyhustle.com/sales. And if you act fast, you'll get it at the lowest price it'll ever be available, because we are launching it and we want to gain amazing testimonials and social proof to further share this knowledge. So if you act fast, you can get it at the lowest price it'll ever be. That's at thehappyhustle.com/sales. Now let's get back to this episode.
And then I was very, very fortunate to go to a meditation session that was led by Deepak Chopra, like the legend
Ooh, cool.
himself, right?
Yeah.
And I tracked my meditation and it was like super high focus the entire time. And I was like, wow, maybe it's not that I can't meditate, it's maybe that I need a coach, right? And
Mm,
so and so I went back and I actually started exploring different applications. And I found one that worked for me. And this one worked for me. It doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. It's called Waking Up, right?
mm,
Uh, but the core thing there was that if I didn't have this tool, I wouldn't have been able to find the right tool that worked for me meditation wise, right? And that was really big. But I'll share one more story about how experimentation is so valuable. We had a a a customer reach out to us. He was in his office. he normally drinks about one cup of coffee in the morning, one cup of coffee in the afternoon. And one day, he essentially forgot to drink his cup of coffee in the morning, right?
Mm,
And when he looked at his focus data, it was still high. And then in the afternoon, where even if he drank a second cup of coffee, he would be burnt out, he was now, when he drank a second cup of coffee, in high focus. And so what he learned is that he was over burning himself out in the morning.
mm,
Now he's also able to cut his caffeine in half, so he's able to sleep better, right?
mhm,
And he's able to get 2 sessions of work done per day instead of one and then like a crappy one at the end. And then, what does that mean? It means that you're more effective. You go home, you don't have to take work home, right? That's amazing. And so
mhm.
those are the kinds of things that we're getting from our users as they start to discover their brain through this process.
Yeah. I mean, the caffeine like intake debacle as an entrepreneur or a high performer, I feel like is ever present. It's like if I ramp up, I'll get a lot done, but then it's going to tank my sleep, which will tank tomorrow's performance.
Hmm.
And it's this vicious cycle. We had on celebrity sleep doctor, Dr. Michael Bruce, on the podcast recently, and I highly recommend everyone check out his work and take his sleep quiz, but also just double click on again the importance of sleep. And that's
Hmm.
where stuff like these wearables will help you optimize sleep, because you'll be optimizing your performance throughout the day without needing
Exactly.
caffeine. And it's just a vicious cycle if you don't have some of this technology. Talk to me a little bit about the actual data. Like, I get my data from the app and I'm looking at, okay, I realize I'm lacking or I need to, work differently. What's your specific analysis process when you pull up the app and you see your focus points? And I highly recommend everyone just download the app, because you guys have like a free version of the app that they can actually
For
check
sure.
it all out, right? Um, but talk to me about your process of how you like iterate and evolve based on the data.
Yeah, yeah. And some of this stuff is going to be automated in the future. Like we have this new system where we're going to actually be providing these insights so that people don't have to dig
Oh,
in and
cool.
find it. But some of the things that I look at, for example, is am I scoring more points for the amount of time that I put in? So the way the point system works is that if I'm in high focus, I get 2 points per minute. If I'm in low focus, I get 1 point per minute,
Mm,
right? And so the whole concept is how do you stay into this medium or high focus consistently? Because
right.
that's where you're doing your best work. If you're in low focus, you're burning out, you're doubling your errors. Like we want to get you out of there. We want to get you a break so you can get back to that high focus state, right? So one of the things I always look for is how is my ratio between high to low focus points? Because it means like, what behavioral changes can I do or what things happen. Maybe a lot of distractions happened and it pushed me to low focus. All right, I need to go to an environment where there's less noise. You know, I started this morning, but I skipped my coffee and now it's really hard for me to get to that high focus zone. Maybe I should drink coffee. And those are the kinds of things that I look at when I look at my data and see how they reflect what happened to me during the day.
Mm. Yeah, I love the point system. Gamification, so huge. I love gamifying things. We have the soul mapping system where we track these 10 different areas of life, our 10 alignments, and it's really your soul's map to the blissfully balanced promised land. Because a lot of people are like, how do I achieve this work-life balance, quote unquote, and it gets a bad rep. Let's be honest, balance in general gets a bad rep, but it really is. Again, I go back to the systematic harmonization, because work and life balance per se. Work is a part of life. It's they're
Oh
not
yeah,
separate. It's
yeah.
this harmonious flow. And so you want to use gamification, and again, that old adage, what you measure you can manage, right? So that here we're measuring our brain waves using this Neurable AI technology, and then we can see in real time where we need to pivot, iterate, and evolve. What else do we need to know about Neurable? If someone maybe is on the fence and they're like, man, Dr. Ramses, this sounds great, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not yet convinced. What else do we need to know about the technology, the headphones, and the application use case in order to really make a decision that is it or is it not a tool for me?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the two key things that I would look at is one, if you are suffering from burnout, then this is a great technology for you because it'll help you, once again, your brain has no pain receptors, so you can't actually tell when you're tired, right?
Mm,
That's when your body's tired. Your brain is tired at a different time point. So if you want to know how you can take these breaks that are timed in a way that actually enable you to prevent burnout, great tech for that to use. The second thing is if you have issues with maintaining focus and attention,
mm,
right? Not only do we have the biofeedback system, but it also, the gamification actually teaches you good habits. And those habits that it teaches you slowly train your brain to be good at it. So the first one is showing up every single day. You want to score 100 points per day. So it teaches you to show up every day. The second
mhm,
thing is, we want you to be into medium to high focus when you work. And so you create a ritual for yourself. You put on the headphones, you turn on noise cancellation, you go inside a quiet environment. Essentially creates a cocoon for you, right?
mhm.
And then you get rewarded from that, which is the points, right? And you get little trophies and stuff from it too. And later on we'll add a few more things in there, but the whole concept is that you're seeing that your actions lead to an output that is a better reward. So
Mm,
that trains your brain to essentially try to be inside that reward zone,
yeah.
which is healthy
Yeah.
for you, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, creating those habits and having the discipline to do so,
Hmm.
that's the name of the game. I mean, as Jocko
I'll
Willink
tell you
says,
something
discipline equals freedom, right?
for sure, 100%. And I'll tell you one of my favorite things that inspired the gamification. I remember I was listening to a podcast with the founders of Duolingo, right? And they're like, we created all these incredible ways in the mobile industry to make games addicting so that people would give you their money. What if we use that to help you learn a language, right? And
Mm,
it's the same concept. It's like we learned all these psychological ways of helping, of getting people's attention and helping their brains think in a specific way. What if we used it to prevent burnout and, help you essentially maintain focus so that you
mhm,
work smarter, right? And what if we taught that to your brain, especially nowadays? Because nowadays everything is so fast format that the brain these days doesn't actually get the practice it used to get on being patient and having a longer attention span, right? And so what if we created a tool that helped you gain that, but it was actually fun to do, right?
mm.
And that's really where the motivation is, right? How do we turn something that we've learned into something that can then actually be for good?
Yeah, amen to that. That's what it's all about. Using business as a force for good. That's something I'm a big fan of, and supporting companies that are also in that same alignment. Let's talk about just the future of Neurable and what you guys got cooking. I know there's a lot of things happening. Give us just a little behind the scenes, if you can, of what's to come in the coming years.
Oof, coming years, well, I'll talk about this month, and then I'll talk about
Okay.
potentially the next couple of years. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much my team is gonna be like, yo, you can't say that stuff yet. So,
Fair.
but what I will say is that this month the brain health metric system is out. I'm so excited. It's in beta, but it helps you track your brain health. And I think
Mm,
that the most prevalent part for me was that it helps you make decisions about your life,
mm,
right? So for example, I've maintained pretty healthy habits. Once again, I care a lot about my health and my mental state. So it gives you a predictive brain age, and my predictive brain age is around 30 most days.
mm,
And I slept well. I wasn't drinking alcohol. Things were going well. And then I ended up going to South by Southwest, right? And I did that for work, right? But I stayed up later than I probably should have. I drank wine at these mixers, and
uh,
over the 3 days of South by Southwest, my brain age went from 30 to 50, right?
oh, wow.
And and so I could literally see the impact I was doing to my brain, and I could see that my delta response, which is a brainwave associated to how sleepy I am, said I needed more sleep. My beta responses, which are associated to like how ready my brain is to do cognitive work, said that my brain wasn't as ready anymore. And so when I saw that, I immediately was like, all right, I need to get back to my normal schedule. I need to do things that are healthy. It's okay to have spikes here and there where you do fun things, like, don't remove the fun out of your life, but how do I use this feedback in order to create behavioral change so that I'm actually reaching my goals, right? As you're saying,
Yeah.
if you can be disciplined, what was that quote that you said that was amazing?
Yeah.
Discipline is freedom, right?
Yeah. Discipline equals freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm really excited about that beta coming out, that brain health analysis. Give us a teaser of what one thing that you can disclose coming down the pipe in the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one thing that we really want to do is create a check engine light for the brain.
Mm,
So right now, like we don't want to diagnose anything. It is never our intent to diagnose. But what if there's key brain signals, for example, associated to what epilepsy looks like? Or if you look at a
mm,
specific brain wave, like gamma, as it starts to go down too much, it might suggest that you have some sort of neurodegenerative disorder, right? Like
mm.
Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or something like that. And so as we collect this data, obviously with user consent, we're going to see some of those anomalies. And your Apple Watch does that already, right? Your Apple Watch will tell you, hey, you have a heart anomaly, right? Go to the
Mm,
doctor.
mm.
And so what we want to do is introduce essentially like a check engine light for your brain. Our goal is, can we make a world where you're not surprised by your brain anymore? It takes some people don't get diagnosed with Parkinson's or Alzheimer's 10 years into the disease. It's crazy.
Right.
But what if we could create a check engine light that says like, hey, you're starting to show signs of this. Give this data to your doctor, have them diagnose you, them better understand you. And this is just V1 of it. But how do we take brain health metrics and turn it into something that can actually lead to longer term like medical help or change, right? Not from us, but to empower the user to go get it so that instead of having to deal with sick care, which is how we deal with things now, when you're sick, you go to,
Yeah.
to the doctor, to real health care, which is
Yeah.
seeing how your baseline changes and then making modifications when you see that baseline change.
Mm. Damn. Doc, I love that. That's some good stuff. I tell you, if we could just prevent a lot of these neurodegenerative diseases ahead of time, or at least be aware of what's manifesting inside our brain by wearing our headphones and just getting this data earlier and then making corrective change in real time. That's profound, and I'm excited for that next iteration. And I'm sure the happy hustlers right now are probably like, where the heck do I get a damn pair of these headphones? They're probably like, okay, I need to just at least get a pair and give it a go. I mean, I know you got a hookup going for the happy hustlers. If they use code happy, they could save over $100 on a pair of headphones. Where's the best place to go? Is it the website to buy them?
Yeah, go to neurable.com. That's also where the code actually works. So if you want to get that discount, that's where you got to go. But yeah, go to neurable.com. Also, come check out our LinkedIn or our Instagrams. I think that what's cool about at least the Instagram that I have is that you can see different experiments that you can try out. Like I've done this with driving a Porsche simulator before, right? How cool is that? And other things like yesterday I went out with some friends to get a little bit of downtime off, and we went to Top Golf. And so we went to a driving range and we saw our brain while we were taking swings and our focus. And then there was, and what's cool is we could use the biofeedback system to
Mm.
essentially know when to take our swing, right? So we knew we were in high focus, we weren't distracted. That's when to take the swing, and we were able to perform better.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And that's all on your social media. So check out Neurable. That's neurable.com. And then again, use code HAPPY to save, get yourself a hookup. They're great headphones. Even if you just listen to music and take calls, they're awesome headphones for that reason. But then the extra bonus is you could be just optimizing your brain and decreasing burnout in the process. So definitely pumped about these headphones and Neurable and what you all are up to, and just grateful for your time. I do want to put you through some of our traditional happy hustle questions. We do it in a rapid format, kind of like a really first thing that comes to mind, you just answer style. And then we'll wrap this interview up, Dr. Ramses. So Are you ready? We're just going to fire them off.
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Favorite food? Go.
Sushi.
Favorite movie?
Old Boy.
Favorite book? I've never seen Old Boy.
Favorite book. Ooh, Ender's Game.
Mm. What's your spirit animal?
Great White Shark.
Oh, nice. I haven't heard that one. Best business advice.
There's a gem to everything someone tells you. It's just sometimes you don't see that gem.
Mm. Let's ask this. A happy hustle hack for your money. Something that you do to save, invest, or spend wisely.
Honestly, it's picking these bad boys up, and I'll tell you why. And if we give you, we've seen that people get at least an hour back of time per day of productivity, at least an hour back per day. If you're
Mm.
charging $1,000 an hour, like in 1 hour, you've already paid for the headphones. So, you know,
Mm.
it's just the burnout prevention by itself is worth it.
Yeah. Happy hustle hack for your health. Something, again, uniquely Dr. Ramsey's.
Experiment. Like
Mm.
go try neurotropics, go try coffee, try these things and then see how they affect you. But make sure you have some sort of device to measure it, whether it's your heart rate sensor, Neurable headphones, something that gives you objective data. And do it a few times because sometimes it can be placebo.
Mm. Happy hustle hack for your spirituality. Something that you do to connect to a higher power.
Meditation,
Mm.
just, you know,
Awesome. 3 things you're most grateful for today.
my dog, my team. I cannot tell you how blessed I am to have them. And then the third one is, all the people who truly believe and support this company. I'll make a post on LinkedIn or I'll share something via email to our investors. And actually I'm raising right now and we went through and they set up dinners for me and everything to get other people inside the room. I'm just so blessed. Like the people in my life
Mm.
are the biggest thing that has led to my success and the thing that I'm most grateful for.
I love that. And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on there, what does that billboard read?
Ooh, man, that's a rapid fire question. Woo,
Yep.
man. All right. Dream bigger.
Mm. Love that. And you crushed that rapid fire round. Dr. Ramses, man, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you. Thank you so much for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, your neurotech, these Neurable.ai headphones, and really just the future of wearable technology with us and what's to come and how we can be on the cutting edge of optimizing our workflow and decreasing burnout. Again, how do we actually put the happy in our hustle? I appreciate you sharing ways to do that. That's what it's all about. So just thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you, Cary. It's an absolute pleasure. Can't wait to do this again in the near future too.
Yeah, for sure. Now, before I let you go ahead and mention some links where you hang out mainly online, just so people can follow you direct.
Yeah, the best places to find us and myself is LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out. I do love to connect with the people who are passionate about what we're doing. Instagram, I have a pretty decent following. It's growing. Neuroscience is niche, right? But I think I'm punching above our weight. And we have a Discord. If you want to talk to the team directly, share some ideas and concepts, our Discord is there. And the last thing I'll say is we are on Twitter as well. Our team is very active. We're small enough right now and that we want to continue being engaged with the people who support us. So this is a great time to stay connected with us.
Love that. Yeah, and we'll link all that up in the show notes. If you can, tie a bow on everything we talked about. Give a call to action as well to all the people, all the happy hustlers out there watching and listening, and maybe just share again why they need to check out Neurable.
Yeah. What I would say the biggest call to action is the most important organ in your brain. I mean, the most important organ in your body is your brain.
Hmm.
Neurotechnology that you can use every day is going to be the most powerful wearable that you can ever have. Whether it's for use cases now to prevent things like anxiety, burnout, help you essentially take breaks when that lead to optimal performance, to longer term when it comes to understanding your health. Like all these things are about to become common day, and you should implement them into your day as soon as you can. Because the sooner you get the data, the more value you're creating over time.
Mm, love that. That's why you need to get a pair of these awesome headphones that will track your brain in real time. You can get them at neurable.com and then use code HAPPY to save yourself some moolah. Dr. Ramses, this has been awesome. Final question I ask all my guests is, what does happy hustling mean to you?
It means, and actually this goes back to something that you mentioned previously. Like I also don't believe in the concept of work-life balance. It's what it is performance. That's what it is, right? And recovery is a part of performance.
Mm.
And to me, that's what happy hustle means, right? It's understanding that recovery is a part of performance, and you should take that just as seriously. Your rest days are just as serious as your work days.
Boom! Mic drop, y'all. Dr. Ramses Alcaide. Thank you all for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love, everybody.